New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
Do you want me to turn on the AC?
Yeah.
It's like 55 degrees outside.
Open the window.
Okay. It's also like a hailstorm outside.
The hail can't get in. You got a screen.
I don't have a screen. Screens look bad on houses. Don't put screens on.
Wait, no one can see this window.
Yeah, and? I can see it. That's the point. You should care, no matter what people think of you, even when they're not thinking of you.
We're live, aren't
we? Maybe. That's what the big old red light says.
Oh, God.
It's not just for romance.
Okay, we're going to cut this out.
Yeah. Anyways. Shall we start this? I mean, I'm so glad that the kidnapper has finally returned you so that we can start up the podcast again. It really was funny that all they wanted was not $35,000, but $35.
That's what I was worth, they said.
It took, yeah. But welcome back, Evan.
Thank you.
And welcome to
Boo for 96.
Jesus Christ.
Blew out my ears.
Yeah. Wait. Let's try that again, because I can't actually cut in new for 96 like I have been from older episodes when we blow it out like that.
Wait, you've been doing that?
Yeah. It's been like episode 3 for like the last 7 years. Okay, one more time. Gentle.
Sure.
Okay. Welcome to another episode of Boo for 96. That was
much more pleasant.
the most depressed ghost.
No.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, they were listening to this show.
Boo. Oh my god.
This is episode 13.
Oh, hey. It is actually how
On a
thematic.
spooktacular
Yeah.
October 31st.
This is a Halloween episode. We're recording on Halloween. It will not be released until next
March.
year, probably. Yeah.
And we have our special guest Blake Z. Wrong with us.
Yep. Hi, Blake. How are you? So, what listeners don't know is that we actually recorded 2 episodes in between the last one you heard and this one, and Blake Z. Wrong was on both of them. However, the footage
File not found.
File not found for various reasons cannot be played, but will be available to donors of any kind who wish to pay 69 cents to our Patreon. Just kidding, we don't have a Patreon yet. But for various reasons, the first one we had some technical difficulties.
It's so weird. I told you not to record it onto Zoom format, and you insisted.
I know. Windows bitmap audio
It's an
file.
obsolete. It's an obsolete file. I said.
So that first one did not turn out, and then on the second one that we tried when Blake was actually down here, because we
Down to clown.
we're down to clown, if one might, and let's just say that we maybe got a bit silly. I have listened to the raw footage on that one, and it goes places.
I don't know if you know what the word footage means.
I don't. Raw dog.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, so that one would take me. We recorded for like 2 hours, and we went everywhere, and also the audio was bad, and my fault partially. Also, we had an additional surprise guest as well. Friend of the podcast, Will Pierce, was on, and so we were sharing mics, and so it was not an ideal situation. But if I can like do some sort of editing magic to it, I will do my best, and we will post it. But my knowledge is so far as advanced as opening it and playing sound effects like this. Moo.
But don't save it in Microsoft Paint this time, so it can only be played on the Zoom. That was the mistake.
Well, you learn about the software. I refuse to. Anyways, so how are you, Kevin?
Just great.
Excellent. Thanks for asking. By the way, this is how this is our friendship. This is our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a one-way street.
Yeah,
down a dark alley. Down
where one might drive a car. How relevant.
Yep.
Let's talk about cars.
No, maybe. Yeah. So I think where we left off, our local buffoons. At least one had returned from a long road trip, 5,000 miles on the dot from Houston to
Monterey.
Rensport to back.
Yeah, Rensport and back. In the 911 SC, it was 5,200 miles. A lot of stops. It was like 15 days.
Yep.
I said it was 14, but I didn't include that it was Monday to 2 following Mondays.
My
so
God.
It was Monday to Monday.
Who counts Mondays? Mondays, am I right?
Not Garfield.
Nope.
Yeah, it was amazing. Rensport was good. Saw a lot of friends. Drove a lot of miles. Had a few things break on the car, but nothing catastrophic. Just the heater hose and
only didn't start once.
It only didn't start once.
Yeah, that's pretty ideal.
Which kind of jinxed me for the rest of the trip because I was really paranoid. Like I would do stops, and of course I had to shut it off for fuel. But if I didn't have to shut it off, I would just leave it on while I went to the bathroom.
I was going to say, you did not pee or poop for the entire trip back, which would have been more amazing and heroic.
That's true.
If you had put it that way.
Heroic, not sure.
I don't know. Maybe.
Amazing, yes.
Yeah.
Respectable, definitely.
Yep. Yeah. So. And I think we recapped it in the last episode, and
the one that will not be released.
No. The trip, or the episode prior, didn't we?
No, I don't think so.
I think we did.
I don't think we recorded one. We didn't record. We talked about the trip.
I think we did.
No,
I think we might have. Oh, maybe we didn't. Maybe it was the last episode.
Yeah.
So rewind.
We recorded with Blake.
Yeah.
The day before I left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we recorded
3 weeks later
with Blake. 3 weeks later with Blake again.
In person.
When he was here.
If only there was some common factor to these unlistenable episodes that we could detect. I don't know what it could be.
It's really hard to say.
Please edit that
out. No. Anyways, Blake, we'll have you on. We'll have better audio.
Just come back from Vermont.
Yep. We will subsidize your trip in no way. However, you should come down anyways.
We would give you a free Patreon upper tier
donation. Oh, we will donate.
No. We're not
in your name.
No.
To our own Patreon.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. He would be in the $5 tier.
Yes. Oh, top tier, I see. All right. Then you get a tote bag.
Yeah.
Which is actually a plastic grocery bag. Anyways. So, okay. Let's recap the trip then, since the only people who ever hear that episode are in this room.
Yeah. Sure, feel free to ask me anything.
I've heard it only 10 times over. You love talking about it.
Yeah.
No, so it was an amazing trip. You rode up there with your dad, and then you rode back with Will Pierce.
Yeah.
And you did a lot of things in between.
Yes.
Like, Rensport Reunion was an amazing time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you saw a bunch of people. You went on the Momo rally, which was cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people there were a lot of people.
So many people.
Yeah.
I saw Brad and Lane
Yeah.
on the Momo rally.
Yeah, from DWA.
And Michael Meldrum,
Yep.
friend from Houston out there. I saw a lot
Yeah.
of Hill Country Rally people at Rensport.
Yep.
A lot of writer friends and also Blake.
Yep.
Saw, yeah, a lot of people. And I saw, which I've told everyone this, I saw a 914 at the Grand Canyon, which I later saw at Rensport.
Oh, yeah, that was
and
cool.
this guy asked me.
He just came out of nowhere.
He's like, hey, were you at the Grand Canyon the other day? And we're like 1,000 miles from the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Amazing that he drove a 914
from Florida.
That's
so cool.
That's amazing.
It is.
Do you remember which 914 it was? Was it a 14.6 or was it?
It was. I think it was just a 2-liter. I think I would have known if it was a 6.
Yeah, it would have looked wide.
But I did the parade lap.
Yeah.
On Laguna Seca. Not as fast as I would like.
Yeah.
But still getting to drive down the corkscrew was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And that car was in front of me. So I think it was just a 2-liter.
Okay. Still cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. And it was like a bright color too, wasn't it?
No, it was like maroon.
Okay. Still.
Yeah.
I love 914s. Like,
yeah.
I'd like to have one down the line somewhere once I've kind of crossed a few other cars off my list, but I think a 914 would be really cool. And so after Rensport reunion, you drove down to Los Angeles.
Yes.
Describe that part of the trip.
Well, I was driving down with Chris Perkins and Andrew from Porsche, and we were doing a shoot. We were shooting photography, and Chris was writing a story about the 918 and the Panamera Turbo S hybrid. And so we had the 3 Musketeers, the 918, the Panamera, and my 911 SC. And the 3 of us drove them down. I mean, this is a drive you could do in like, I think 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. But we took 2 days to do it right. Went down the coast for part of the way, and then inland on amazing roads.
Yeah.
So it was pretty amazing. I got to spend a little bit of time in the 918.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which ruined me for other cars for the rest of my life.
Even though the car is, 4 years old now?
Yeah, I mean, it debuted in 2013. It went on sale.
Could never become old hat. Like, it's such a special car.
Yeah, and the design still looks really ahead of its time. I think the worst angle, since I spent 2 days really shooting it, I think the worst angle is like high up, not way high, but like kind of high from the direct front.
Yeah.
Because the headlights look kind of like when Milhouse takes off his glasses and he's got the little teeny eyes. Like, that's how kind of the headlights look from that perspective. Every other perspective is really cool.
I am a short gentleman, and so I will never see it from that perspective. Yeah. But it's just one of those cars. Like, I don't have like a strong interest in supercars, but that one. Mm-hmm. It's just so cool. The technology, like, just what it exudes in terms of personality and character. Like, that is one of those future classic. I mean, it's already a classic, but in a way, because it's just one of those future classics where you will look back and there will be no bad memory of this car.
Right.
Anyways.
The amount of technology that's packed into this car that is not that large. Yeah. Like, the amount of stuff that's packed in there, I mean, it's got to be more than 10 radiators as far as total cooling devices and stuff throughout the car, including AC and everything. It's so dense. You wonder what they did on the Carrera GT, where it was just like a big engine and a normal car around it. And this is the same footprint, but has, power to the front wheels, batteries, all kinds of cooling needs. Yeah. It's amazing. And I have not driven a LaFerrari. I've not driven a P1. I definitely think that the electric only mode on those cars is more of a party trick. Yeah. And I think on the 918 it really is like integral. It's integral to the experience, the electric mode, and how you can just drive around. It's fast. Yeah. It's all-wheel drive in electric only. There's front and rear electric motors. Yeah. It's never, front-wheel drive or anything only. Yeah. It's quick, but it's just enjoyable in electric only mode, and then you step on it, and this V8 wakes up, and it's just incredible. But that V8, like that engine, it's so peaky. They couldn't have done just that engine in a car without retuning it to be less than 600 horsepower at nearly 9,000 RPM. Like it's the electric stuff has such a purpose here. Yeah. And it's just a really incredible integration.
That's just like, and that's what cool. I think that's what's so cool about this car is that 4 years later, like there's just so many dimensions to this car that you can still talk about it like in awe. Yeah. And because, like, I mean, probably arguable depending on who you are, but like it still hasn't really been topped as far as like the combination goes, in my opinion. Like, and plus top-mounted exhaust that shoot flames.
Yeah, the V8 is basically it's a hot V without a turbocharger. Mm-hmm. I mean, so the header, the exhaust manifold fires upward and inward, and they wanted to keep the heat away from the battery, which is kind of at the lower front of the engine block. So that's why the exhaust sticks out of the top. So. Two stories about this little jaunt that I don't think I told you about. Yes. We were at a gas station, and a guy was like, I think he might have been intoxicated in some way, but he was really losing.
He had driven to a gas station to fill up. What? He had driven to a gas station to fill up?
No, I don't know. He was walking out of the gas stop, but this guy came out of the convenience store. Yeah. And he's like losing his mind at the car, and then he's like, the Porsches are cool too. He reassured us that the Porsches were cool too, but that gray car was amazing. Yeah. Because he didn't think it was a Porsche, because why would you?
Well, I mean, I think the general public, if they saw that car, would not think it a Porsche in any way. Right. And I mean, they only made 918 of them, and there's...
Yes, we had number 924 out of 18.
Oh,
out
of 918. Yeah, that's right, how that goes.
It was a pre-production prototype. They still number them. They're not like Ferrari. They still number them, but the number on the back says 000, which is where the magazine gets its namesake, from this one.
Oh, okay. I had no idea. Yeah. I thought it was from those weird Ford Raptor grills. You know what I'm talking about?
That's the quadruple zero. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I could check with them. It might be that. And then the other thing, I know I've already forgotten it. It's okay. You're turning my levels down to 0. I'm being played off stage.
I could see you riling up with excitement.
Oh, no. We were shooting just outside of San Luis Obispo, and I was shooting the car, and a guy went past in a new NSX. And I was like, I'm surprised that guy didn't like brake or look over or whatever. Because
he thought that like he has to justify his existence.
Well, no, but he did turn around. He turned around and came and looked at the car, and he actually told us, he's like, I always loved this car. I loved the concept, and I couldn't afford a 918, but I bought an NSX because it's like, the spirit, the closest that he could afford of this hybrid performance car.
I guess so. I've never thought about like these new hybrid performance cars as having it's a type of car, I suppose, like in that there would be like a cult around like, say, naturally aspirated V8s or like diesels or like some sort of like drivetrain that like inspires enthusiasm, I guess. I just figured that I looked at them as more of means to an end, except for the 918. Honestly, a lot of Ferrari and the P1 also, I suppose. But like they seem like more of means to an end in terms of performance, rather than like an engineering exercise of like, here is pure car or whatever.
But I think with the 918 in the P1 LaFerrari, like it is this level of performance where the electricity augments it in such a way. Like the coolest thing about the 918 is one of the coolest things is that there's like the 4 modes. There's sport, there's race, there's whatever. But in race mode, the wing comes up and it's using more gas in order to keep the batteries charged up.
Yeah.
So you always have electricity. Like, it's so cool. Like, it just...
That is amazing.
It's not just like, oh, this is filling in. Like, it is definitely a plus. Like, it is giant, V8 power plus electricity.
Yeah.
Both working in tandem. And I think there's something really appealing about that. And I think also this is a rant.
Go on.
But Honda had the opportunity to be years ahead of this when they released the CRZ. I'm talking at a much lower level, but if they put like the RSX engine, like a 200 horsepower engine, in this hatchback with a hybrid system,
they would have never done that.
No, but
I know what you mean. It could have
been so cool to be ahead of the curve and just have
that would have been a very expensive car. I think.
No, it wouldn't.
Back in the day,
no,
maybe
no.
I don't know.
The CRZ was cheap and the RSX Type S was cheap. They could have combined these for less than $28,000.
Then, like, the concept of a performance hybrid.
This was like 2009.
Yeah, but back then, the fast hybrids were like the Accord hybrid, which like got 28 miles per gallon combined.
But I mean, if they had any amount of vision, they obviously came up with a sporty looking hybrid. The CRZ looked really great.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if anything at all, like that would have been the perfect like return to the simple high-strung 4-cylinder.
Yeah, and you can make it more high-strung because you have the torque fill of the electric power.
Maybe, like, because they have their hybrid systems were always parallel hybrids, so it means that like there was no electric only mode. Like, they ran it was almost like a supercharger.
But it still would have been good.
Yeah, I wish Honda, instead of going like super high tech, like instead just made simple good, like the NSX, just because the NSX, the new NSX, for all intents and purposes, is a very good car. It's just not as good as what everyone else did with this combination of engineering.
But it's unique because it's 1/10 the cost of a P1.
It is. Or what about you do like when it came out, because it was this long-awaited exercise, and then it was overshadowed by the Ford GT release.
I think it was, but that's because the GT was just so exotic, and I think in time, the NSX might
maybe. It's just that no one, like, who do you know who is actually excited about, like, obviously NSX owners are excited about their cars, but like outside of that, like, who's excited about an NSX?
I think over time, I think the NSX stands alone. There's nothing else like that with hybrid power. I mean, everything else is going to get electricity, and the NSX is unique right now.
Very expensive for what I think is not like. It doesn't bring the sense.
It's pretty revolutionary, and I think when you look at everything, and you look at the Ford GT, and it's like it's a very wild looking car with advanced aerodynamics, and a very lame engine, and it's still slower than a GT2 RS.
Yes, but it has like this drama to it.
It does,
and it doesn't use technology in that way. There's just something about, for me at least, like reading about it, looking at it, seeing just seeing it. I haven't driven one. That may change my mind. I don't know that it would necessarily.
The NSX?
Yeah, I've driven old NSXs, and those aren't fast, but there is something about them, like, that it just brings this, like, emotion when you're driving it. Whether it's just like the view out, the weird, like, spaceshipy, like, glass, or like, I don't know. There's just something about it that brings emotion. And while I think the new NSX, I'm sure is a good car, I don't know. I wonder if it's just too sterile an exercise. Like, there's just nothing about it that excites me, at least, about it. Just like, and I mean, at the end of the day, like, a good car is a good car. If you buy it and it's a good car, congratulations, you bought a good car. But then the other part of the existence of these cars, I feel like, is to be admired, like, whether or not you know anything about the car. Like, I think there's just a representation of either momentum or just speed or drama or something that I don't know. There's just something about the way, maybe it's the way that they are marketing it, but also its presence. Like at the place where I get my cars cleaned, they were putting ceramic on a new NSX, and I was like, oh, is that an NSX in their garage or whatever? And they're like, oh yeah, you can go take a look at it. And I really didn't want to, but like the guy was insisting, and on the way over, like there was like a Bentley. What is the one they test drove on Top Gear? The like the Brooklyns.
Oh,
yeah. So the Brooklyns, and that excited me way more than the NSX did. And so like I took like a minute look at the NSX, and then I like went over and looked at the Brooklyns because you just never see those around. And not that I'd ever want one either, I suppose. But anyways, I don't know. That's just kind of my like very armchair take on it. That I'm sure it's a fine automobile. There's just something about it that doesn't excite me, though.
No, I get that, but you're making a good case for me really liking NSX right now.
Because it's an underdog?
No, it is fulfilling the exact same role that the original did in 1991, in that it undercuts price on Ferrari, McLaren, and these other cars.
Do you think that it's competitive against those cars, though? Like,
I think performance-wise, it's competitive against the 488. It is.
What is the cost again?
It's in the upper 100s, like 175-ish, I think.
That's pretty high.
It is pretty high, but if you looked at inflation, I think the original was like 80 to 90,000, and with inflation, it's probably equal, roughly. But I mean, Ferrari, the Porsche competitors, the 4GT, they don't have the hybrid, they don't have the added...
They don't, but yet somehow I think those are more desirable cars. Like
that's not what I'm necessarily talking about, but what I'm saying is the original NSX kind of previewed a future of the everyday supercar that Ferrari and Lamborghini and Porsche had to kind of
but you know
adapt
to.
And
did
this
in
one,
that oh, go on.
And this one is doing that. As Ferrari and Porsche are going to go to electrification.
Yeah,
this is immediately showing that earlier. If they can actually update it, which Acura never did with the first one, if they can actually keep updating it, it'd be really incredible. It is really incredible.
That it were more like the original Exercise, the original NSX, in that it was an everyday supercar, but it was also really simple. Like, there was nothing really complex about that car, and it made no pretenses other than it looked wild for the time. But like it was an exercise
it didn't look wild. I mean, it looked like
I think it looked wild. No, like for a car that came out in 1990, like especially in that price range, like that looked wild, especially with that like kind of two-tone look with the upper half, the dome almost. And then the long body, it was kind of an everyman's. It wasn't even an everyman's Ferrari. Like it looked different from a Ferrari even.
I mean, proportionally, it was pretty similar to 348.
Yeah, but it looked different somehow.
It did. The long tail.
Which
was so they could fit golf bags.
Yes. But there was just something about it that there was just something about the combination of the fact that it was an exotic body form. But with simplistic engineering combined. And I almost wish there was a way for them to have made that. Like if they had made, say, for instance, instead of going with this hybrid supercar direction, they went with, like, say, I don't know, like a better FRS like type of mentality where it's
that doesn't excite people. That is like an Evora.
Yeah, but then it would have also maybe cost $70,000 instead of $170,000, and at that point, I think if you made a good fast car, I think part of the problem with the FRS and why that doesn't like elicit a lot of immediate emotion from people who aren't invested in that car in particular, is because it exists in this kind of like middle place, where it is a good car. It's just not like a car that people aspire to have necessarily, because it's a slow car fast situation, or a modern slow car fast situation. What if you made like those are effects that we have inserted, especially for this Halloween episode, is also...
Get your hand off that keyboard.
Slightly hurricaning outside, actually, here in Houston, Texas. Anyways, I'm just kind of droning on about, like, this is just, again, my armchair reaction, because, like, I'll say that I haven't spent a lot of time looking into, like, the NSX, but I don't know that I have a desire to either, because there's so many other cars right now that I'd rather, like, give my attention to.
Okay, but it is so unique in that it is the only mid-engine hybrid supercar. It's the only thing like that. It is completely unique. There's something interesting about that. In a time... I don't know if a Japanese company would release a car in the post GTR era that is about simplicity. Maybe I'm wrong in that category, but there's something really cool about this being post GTR, post 997 turbo. Just that little bit extra edge. You know, we're so used to these cars that are turbocharged, traction control monsters, digitally tuned, paddle shifting extremely fast, exploiting every millisecond, and this has that extra edge because of the hybrid power and the electricity.
Yeah, but still, yet all of that combined, though. I mean, maybe it's the same thing, like the GTR when it first came out. Like, I thought it was rebellious and cool, in that it was an inexpensive car that could beat out cars multiple times its price. And then it became really boring, because it was like the whole intent of that car.
Disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
there's something about the way that it takes physics and crumples them up and says thanks.
Well,
that is so impressive. Still,
it's impressive, but it's also boring because it's impressive on paper and it's impressive to like be in, but also like well, and we're back.
Clink.
Clank. We had a little bit of a power outage there, so our previous conversation, thank God, was cut off. And so now we're back. So it is like currently, we're like in the middle of a very bad storm.
It's not that bad. The Prius hasn't flooded yet.
That tree is like swinging at double-digit angles right now. Yeah. Anyway, so to resume and also probably conclude where we were. Sure. We were talking about the GTR. It's, you know what? Okay, I'll put it this way. I know it's kind of like a really trite thing to comment on as far as the GTR being the too perfect computer car that like can do anything like a video game. It like defies physics and all cool and good, but this is a very objective and academic conversation we're having right now about these cars, because at the end of the day, like the cars that we like are flawed. Like the cars that you would have and what bring us personal enjoyment are these flawed cars, because they push the limit of what you are capable of as a driver. Mm-hmm. And whether you're good or bad, you ring out like...
Device received an important update and will restart. It'll be ready again shortly.
Alexa also agrees.
Wow.
Or disagrees. I couldn't tell what that actually meant.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds like the GTR of home automation things.
My house is going haywire right now after that reboot. Anyways, but like all of this aside, like these are obviously the NSX, the GTR are amazing engineering exercises as far as the pursuit of speed goes. But as far as like the driving experience that you and I value personally, like from a subjective standpoint,
that's very irrelevant.
Why?
Because here's why.
Because this isn't like we aren't reviewing it like say for instance, in like say like this isn't a car review that is meant to be objective. This is like a subjective like thing as far as like I'm commenting on that what I derive joy from.
Right. Okay. Why I'm saying that's irrelevant is because besides the Evora, which I mentioned earlier,
Yes.
every other car on sale now, so I understand we're talking about cars of all ages, but if you're talking about performance cars of that level now, they are all post GTR cars. They are all, for lack of a better word, infected by that mindset. I'm talking every Ferrari now, every McLaren.
I agree, and I don't want any of those cars.
Every current Porsche, performance Porsche is post GTR.
I agree,
Okay.
and I would
so if we're
also
comparing
say
old cars to new cars, then yeah.
But we
then
aren't though. But like, I'm
You
not just talking
are.
about old. Yeah, well, you and I buy old cars.
Yeah.
But as far as like, okay, but even today, what you would buy in the modern sense,
But
whether
all
it's
of
a
those
brand new
things that
car or
that
not,
you deride in the GTR exist in a 488, exist in a
Yeah, I wouldn't
570S,
have one.
exist in a 911 Turbo.
The 570 is cool, but I don't know that I would have one either.
Okay.
Yeah, all of these are very cool. In terms of like the flash and dance of like new technology, it is the best iPhone experience that you can buy, and it's neat. But
What's the car equivalent to a Samsung Galaxy? I still am under the impression that every Samsung is free.
I mean, like,
Is it correct
is
that
it
every
racist
Android
if we go with like a performance Hyundai?
is every Android phone still free?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
I don't know why anyone would ever purchase an Android phone.
Well, you don't need to because they're free.
They're all free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but that's the curmudgeonly way of, and we're not even that old, but like it is kind of the curmudgeons. Like there isn't a new car that I think I'm passionate about or would buy necessarily. Like there are cars that are like neat and exciting, and there's a lot of cool stuff happening out there.
What's the newest Porsche you would want? Like
That's
let's
tough.
say you win.
That's
I
tough
don't know.
because
Let's say you get awarded some amount of money from an inheritance, and it's like 150,000, and it's like
That's
the will was like you need to buy a Porsche. Like, what would you buy?
that is that's a loaded one, especially if you said Porsche, because like we were talking about this before, just prior to recording.
Us talking about Porsches, really?
Yeah, it was
wow,
weird.
that's
But
crazy.
Prior to recording, like how like you can justify like a 20 car garage that's nothing but Porsches because there's so many variations that provide varying experiences. However, I would probably end it with the last hydraulic steering Porsche, which would be the 9972.
But would you get a GT3? Would you get a? Let's say
price is no object. Okay,
Yeah.
but okay. Yeah,
No, I know.
Yeah, of course. Yes, I would have a GT3. I might even go GT2, even though I'm not a huge fan of it.
Why would you go GT2?
I don't know, because why not? Money's no object. Might as
But
well have
I feel like the GT2 experience is worse because you've got turbocharging
I agree.
to interfere
I
with
don't
that
like
linear throttle.
As
power drive.
I asterisk, it isn't the car for me, but I'd probably have that too. Why not? Why not fill the stable? But it would be GT3
Okay.
RS. But yeah, that'd be like probably the
That
last
would be
one.
a good choice. That would be a good choice.
Yeah, like and then everything else above that. I mean, like I think the new 911s can be interesting. I'm fascinated. I will read up on them. I think that they are interesting. I don't know that I aspire to have any of them.
Ooh, what about a GT4?
I've driven many 981 variants and a 718 variant that I actually personally enjoyed. And I thought like the upgraded power steering system was a market improvement over the 981s, and I'm not bothered by the exhaust on those, but that's taking out of the context if I ignored that flat sixes were ever used in Porsches, because it's a good car, but it's a different car.
I didn't ask if you would get a 718 because no one would do that.
Fine. But a GT4, yeah, actually, I think it's really special. But I guess that would, if you were to say, if you were to ask like what the newest Porsche would be, it might be that. I mean, yeah. Then we veer into the fact that I'd probably get a 918, like if money were no object as well.
Oh yeah, I guess so. We were talking about Porsches we saw trundling about in the rain earlier when
What's
they
that?
were off air. See, we're talking about Porsches we saw in the rain today.
Oh yeah,
I saw that 356.
You did.
I saw
My neighbors.
a 987 Boxster Spider.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's one in Oak Forest, and
Okay.
I've seen it a half dozen times.
Yeah.
I saw it today in the rain with that top on.
Oh okay.
It was white.
How did it look?
Looked very good. I love
Yeah.
those cars.
I do as well.
Yeah, very cool.
Those look really good. I have a client who has a 981
Ooh.
Spider. I am okay.
They're so cool.
Yeah. It's okay.
Oh no! Here's the thing.
Yes.
So how sometimes we go to those get-togethers, and how a lot of the GT4 people kind of ruin the GT4.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, we know one person that's very cool has a GT4. Everyone else that I've seen with the GT4,
Not Derek Powell.
decidedly less cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Him too.
Yeah.
The Speedster is like that car without the pretension.
Yeah.
Without the pretense.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the noun of that. The
Yes.
Speedster is that car without that. The Boxster Spider. I keep saying Speedster.
Yeah.
The Boxster Spider is so cool. It's a lot of that stuff. I don't know how much is exactly that, but it's that engine.
I agree. I
Aero
think it is
kit.
cool. I mean, I think it's neat. I don't know that it's worth the current holding values they have because I think
What are the values?
I think they're still up at
Like 100?
close to 100. Yeah.
Oh.
Close
Well,
to
that's what they
100.
were new, right?
Yeah, they're. I think they exist as one of those like yet to depreciate cars currently.
Oh.
There are other cars I think I'd rather have than that one, but it is a neat exercise.
Yeah.
And that house that or that client that has that Spider. So the house that I'm helping to work with, they are building like a display garage.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this.
We talked about this, and so that'll be the car in the jewel box for the display.
Well, have him call me up if he needs a real Porsche.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, like, I was really disappointed because I was brought on, I probably shouldn't even go this far because now
Don't
this
worry.
is being put out.
Literally
to,
no one's listening.
No, but he was stated as a Porsche collector, which he is. He has several. I will just say that the collection is perhaps not the direction that I would head in.
How many of them are SUVs?
At least one.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say that none of them would be. None are old, so I'll just put it that way. So it is a modern Porsche collection, and kudos to him for his passion on that. But I think we see different perspectives of the enthusiasm.
Yes.
Yes. Anyways, let's move on.
To what?
It's hard to say. Well, okay.
How's your cars?
My cars, yeah. So you, me, and Blake took a road trip recently, a small road trip to Austin to go to Coda for F1, and
I got to drive the Celsior.
You got to drive the Celsior. You didn't kill us, mostly. That was an interesting. That was a good learning curve. I gotta say, like that you got in and you did not like ride the center line as much as I thought you might. And
Yeah, it was a challenge to stay in the proper side of the lane.
yes,
But luckily, Highway 71 is so easy. It was
Yeah.
nice. And then once we got to Austin, I was like, here, you drive.
Yeah.
But you got some reprieve and you got to do
did.
some work.
I never sat in the back seats where like the seats recline and massage in the back.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never sat in the back seat.
Yeah.
Um,
Only in parking lots.
only in parking lots.
Yeah.
I understand now like the apprehension. So when I was test driving right-hand drive cars, the dealers would always ask if I've ever driven one before, and I really never thought it was a big deal. I was like, no.
Yeah, I
mean,
didn't
but
either.
whatever. It's like it's the same but opposite. But now I understand like the apprehension because I remember when I finally had this car all to myself and I was driving it for the first times, like realizing just being
I
very
was behind
self-aware. Yeah, being very self-aware of the fact that there are a lot of sensory things that are no longer valid. But so we took that car up, and it managed well. I washed it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Because it was so like messy up there, and we saw a lot of car folk, and I wanted to make the car presentable, which it never ended up being because it was just wet and rainy the whole weekend.
Did anyone check it out at when we were at the Pearl?
Oh,
Lester
the
Pearl?
Jalopnik thing. Yeah. Like we were in the parking lot for a little while, and people were inquisitive.
I might have
a
left
little
before
bit.
that.
Oh, maybe. No, I think Blake and I had gone out to the parking lot, but the car
We did see that Honda Beat.
I was going to say the car that took
we gotta
more
post-
attention was that Beat.
We gotta post that Beat to the
Oh
Instagram.
yeah, the Beat was really cool.
It was so cool.
Yeah,
And
the guy was
we
super
all
nice.
sat in
We
it
met-
somehow.
Yeah, we all sat. All 3 of us sat in this like key car. I'm not quite sure how, and I'm sure the owner was cringing as Blake sat on top of the center console, somehow over or on the shifter. It's hard to say.
Better on the shifter than me.
Anyways, so when I got the car, so we got back to Houston. It occurred to me that I had never had the fluids changed. I've already had like 2 oil changes on this.
Did
thing.
you just say oil change?
I guess I'm from Texas. But yes, the
I
car.
wouldn't have known it.
Yes. Are you referring to the ethnicity of my family?
Never.
Well, so got it back. It's a 25-year-old car with likely original fluids in it, and I'd gotten.
What about your timing belt?
Have not done the timing belt, which is one of those things. So I actually went through this week. I was just thinking about it, and I've been really anxious about like a lot of things, including this stupid like search for an air cooled, which has been the most frustrating thing in the world. And I needed a break, and so I was just thinking about the Celsior, and I ended up taking it in to get like all fluids changed. So they did transmission, power steering, brake, coolant, differential. It was like the whole shebang. Not inexpensive. And I was thinking like, transmission shifted maybe like a slight bit hard. I was like, maybe this will help smoothen it out. And I was having like a coolant light thing, even though the coolant level was mostly like always fine. Anyways,
What is coolant?
yeah. Why don't you look under the hood of your hybrid electric automobile, the Prius?
I'm afraid if
It
I open the
uses-
hood, I will get an electric shock.
If
so
you open
obviously I will
the
not do
hood,
that.
it will void the warranty, as all Prius owners are warned.
I told you about the time that I thought I had a check engine light, and it was actually the tire pressure light. And I took it to AutoZone, and
Kevin has
gave me the code.
never owned a car with TPMS, and it
I
has
have too.
alarmed him.
I have owned a car with TPMS.
The Z?
Yeah, the Z.
Oh.
The Z actually told you the tire pressure of every corner.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
What year was it?
05.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they've been holding out on you with technology.
Because, like, it wasn't until I got the Cayman where I had, like, the actual tire pressure readouts. And
Right.
I thought it was so stupid because it's so easy.
Yeah. The Mini only has, like, an alert if something... Also, by the way, I think I told you 2 months ago, I had them change the bulbs at the dealer to fix whatever bulb was out. And then, like, literally the next day, another
Mini?
bulb went out on the Mini.
Okay.
Another bulb went out.
Because it's British, technically German. Like when one bulb goes out, does the
They
car
all go-
just?
it's a
Yeah, it's
Christmas
all
tree.
a circuit, and
Yeah.
so the whole car stops
We're going to
working.
put the car on the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It's the lights.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got all the fluids changed on the car, and it drives no different. Like, or no differently.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. That's what the guy told me as he like gave me like the very large bill, because I had like a whole bunch of things also. Just basically, I would
What
love to
else
do
did
all
you
of this
do?
myself, but like I just don't have the time or the space to do this in.
What else did you do, and what would you really do yourself?
I don't know.
Okay.
Basically a like thorough tune-up of sorts. All except for the one piece of semi-deferred maintenance would be the timing belt, which is sort of...
You should do that timing belt.
I know. Oh my god, it's $1,200. And like right now in this car, I've spent probably 45% of the car's purchase price on maintenance. And that's just to really make it perfect. So, because I do that with every stupid car. I can't help it. Like,
what are you doing to make the BMW perfect?
Well, since...
Are you still looking for parts on eBay to like sport seats and stuff?
I'm still looking for all of the sport package conversion parts. So I have a lot of... the car is up to date with everything. There are no issues with the car, but like Bavarian Machine did give me that like...
$5,000.
Yeah, it was like a
thick,
like, because I had a post-purchase inspection, and they're like, okay, so here are all the things that will probably go wrong with the car, things that are new. And I was like, but thank you. This is basically a maintenance workbook.
Well, I think I told you when I was in Los Angeles with my 911, and I got the oil changed at Mistress LA in Venice, which is a great place.
Yeah.
Once I dropped Derek Powell's name, they really loved me.
Yeah.
The guy there, I think his name was Chris.
Yeah.
Extremely nice guy.
Okay.
Chris was the only person. Well, so Chris drove the car to change the oil.
Yeah.
Andrew drove the car.
Yeah.
Andrew from Porsche drove the car while I was driving the 918.
Yeah.
No one else drove the car to the entire 5,000 miles.
That's amazing.
Anyway, Chris
you were with like so many people. No,
Yeah.
wait, Chris Perkins drove it, didn't he?
He did.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
You were talking about Chris Perkins.
No. Actually, I'm talking about Chris from Mistress.
Oh.
Chris from Mistress. Anyway, he gave me a list that was probably 10,000 of like, we were changing the oil and we noticed these other things.
One of them head studs
No.
with chain tensioners, which
No.
I think you've already had done.
I've got Carrera tensioners.
Okay.
It was like leaking head gaskets,
Okay.
brake fluid urgent, which is weird because I just did that last year, but which I know you need to do annually, but I wouldn't know if it's urgent. I'm gonna have that done.
I'm glad that he was like urgent, but you're like, okay, and then you took like a 2,000-mile road trip home anyway.
No, I couldn't like logistically. I was like, the brakes feel fine, and I can't logistically. I couldn't go and do the brake fluid.
Yeah,
but he said that the valve leaking was urgent because it's leaking on the exhaust headers, and also there's a rear main seal leak.
Oh, what, a fire could break out? That's it?
The rear main seal leak is less urgent because it's not leaching on exhaust.
Oh no! Like do you think you'll have like a while you're in there situation when you address that, if you ever address that?
I don't know.
Anyways, well, you do have that like first to second synchro, which is like
I think that's normal. That's a 915.
I don't think that's normal.
That's 915.
I think it's a Warren synchro.
No, that's 915. I told you Andrew from Porsche, he drove it extensively, and he's like, yeah, your problem with the transmission. I'm like, and he goes, is fourth. And I was like, what?
What? Oh,
yeah.
no.
He said that he's like, yeah, whenever I would shift from fifth to fourth, I would always be like, oh, this is kind of vague. Am I going to second or is this fourth? And I was like, whoa. And he has a car with a 915.
Okay. Well,
first to second, that's normal.
I don't know, but
it's normal. Buy one and then you deal with it.
I've had like, whenever I have like PPI shop, like, yeah, you're probably going to want to come to a stop before like you put it in first.
That's every one of these.
Oh
the transmission hates people.
It does, apparently.
It's like BMW with its customers.
Yeah.
It hates its customers.
It really, really does.
BMW does hate its customers.
I know.
Did you see that X7?
Yeah, I did.
Man, that's great.
That is a real, like, here you go, you fuckers.
Yeah.
Enjoy your giant ass grill.
Yeah.
Giant ass dash grill.
I got it.
It does
I got it.
A rear end. Anyways, yes.
Should we look at some literature?
I guess.
Okay.
All right.
Is this going to be in the unlistenable stack along with the other ones? With
probably. Well, we got a lot of toss-out episodes.
Blake?
Not toss-out. We enjoy all of our guests who have appeared on the show but have not, unfortunately, been published due to unforeseen reasons. Okay, let's go.
Ugh.
Kevin is reaching into his large fanny pack.
Yes.
Let's move that hoagie.
I have a Mercedes brochure.
Oh, I see.
The Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren.
Oh, why is that such an unimpressive size?
I think it's like a teaser. I don't think it was for prospective customers. I think it was for pieces of shit like me.
Okay.
That's some Photoshop.
Yeah, okay. Well, just turn to the page where there's like the long nostril.
The air
intake.
box. That's the only one that matters. Yeah, they've got the
Yes.
doors open. Ooh, look at this Aeroflow.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, okay. So what do they have as far as type? It's all. Do you know what their typeface is?
I don't.
I used to think it was Philosophia, but I don't
Really?
think that is. No, I'm pretty sure it's.
It's Garamond, isn't it?
It's very condensed.
Oh, is it? Wait, let me see. Show me. Oh, Yeah, you're right.
Not a lot of condensed serifs.
Boy, they stick to the serif. So serif, of course, being like typefaces with feet. So like Times New Roman, if you will.
Oh, and I will.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
There's the airbox.
There's the airbox.
So cool. We're going to describe it in this audio medium, but it's like the airbox sits in front of the engine, and then the Mercedes three-pointed star is part of the nostril to this airbox.
I have
extremely cool.
to say one thing, that
the interior is amazing.
the interior has not aged well.
God damn it. Give me that.
It is really bad.
Okay, it's not great, but it's so cool.
It's like optimistic of that era of Mercedes interior design, but like optimistic in the wrong way.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
But it was that carbon monocoque and somehow weighed 4,000 pounds. That's amazing. 3,800.
It's fine. All I can think of are like the replica wheels that people put on, like, I think the last one I saw was on an first gen ML. It had like 16-inch versions of those SLR wheels.
Those were the concept car wheels.
Yeah.
Those were never even on the production
Oh,
one.
fine.
Maybe they were.
Anyways, maybe they were. I think they were an option.
Maybe they were an option.
I mean, the turbines were fine, but they're also just okay. Anyways.
What did you bring?
Well.
Oh, no. It's going to be another goddamn Saab brochure.
Here, you open it. What is it?
Something Volkswagen.
Oh my god, I'm hitting the thing.
Please, Jesus. The 2009 GTI and GLI? What the fuck?
It's a Mark V.
It's a Mark... I do like the Mark V. Wow. Okay. The Futura is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we pretty much just talk about typefaces, and this one knocks it out of the park.
Look at this. This is more prestigious a size brochure than your SLR.
That was like a teaser.
Twice the size.
That was a teaser.
And the photography's better.
The photography's really good. And the typeface is really good.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the serif.
This was during the DOS Auto years, when they had VDub as a tagline. This was Crispin Porter Bogusky.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
What do they have now?
agency.
Did they drop them? Like,
a long time ago.
What is Crispin Porter doing?
Oh, I don't know. They have a car, I think, but I don't remember. So Crispin Porter Bogusky is an ad agency. So Kevin and I used to both be in advertising, and
Crispin Porter did a lot of the famous Porsche ads from like the turn of the 90s, I want to say, like 80s to 90s.
I don't know if that's true.
I think they did.
But they're most well known for their mini work. So
they did,
yeah.
I think they did 964 era Porsche stuff.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That would have
I've
been
never
early.
seen like a documentary about that.
They would have been like a young agency at that point.
Yeah. No, they were. That was one of their first big accounts.
Yeah.
And then they did mini.
Oh, wait, which one is this? Is this what is this like?
Why don't you bang on
I don't
the
know,
mic a
because I'm
couple
so
more times?
like excited about this. Look at this GLI. What is this front fascia? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Wow, it's so weird. It has
That's
like
the E46 Jetta.
I'm surprised that you didn't say LCI, because I actually don't. I'm not familiar enough with the Mark V to know.
Well, I'm not familiar with the Jettas.
Yeah, but it was the same. Well, it wasn't the same, but I don't know. GLI was a weird proposition, wasn't it? Like, just kind of like people who chose a GLI over a GTI, like a 5-door.
Right.
Like, the person who's enthusiastic enough to buy performance variant, but then bought the big, heavy, not as enjoyable.
Yeah. What is that serif typeface? That's what I asked you. That's why you handed
Oh
the
my
brochure.
god. Futura?
No, the serif.
Oh, serif. Dear Lord.
Obviously the rest is Futura.
I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
Myriad.
Jesus, who are you?
Anyways, but if you like, if people are interested, you should look up ad agencies. As far as the ones who've had car companies,
Christian Porter did amazing stuff
Yeah.
with Mini.
They did.
Like the Mini, we're talking 2002 to 2006, like the
And-
launch of the Mini brand in the US.
Yeah.
They did amazing stuff.
Copywriting
and then they
partner
went
that I
to
worked
Volkswagen
with.
and did the good stuff there.
Yeah, and they left, and Goodby Silverstein Partners just picked up a car. I forget which one, but they're the Got Milk agency. And Nike. But I just read this because I still subscribe to the Ad Age emails. Anyways, but yeah, this is good stuff. And Fallon, by the way, because I think we both enjoyed the Ultimate Driving Machine stuff.
I've worked with Fallon on emojis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they no longer have BMW, but that went to GSD&M, which I won't say things, but that then left to go elsewhere. Yeah. And I worked with a copywriting partner of mine. Went off to work at Crispin to do some Mini stuff.
Oh, that's
as well.
so cool.
Yeah. She was one of the funniest copywriters I'd ever worked with.
You worked with her, and then she went and worked on Mini after?
Yes.
What was this, 2004?
Yeah. About that era.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you?
Oh my god.
This,
I was a baby genius.
because I was still in college when they did when Crispin Porter had the Mark V campaign.
I graduated in 2004. Lots of silence. What is it? You're doing some weird mental math. You're like the meme with the lady and the mathematics flying around her head.
Wow, this is good.
How is this
audio.
mind blowing? Because you're only you're 2 years younger than me, something like that.
2 to 7.
You're 24.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah. So that was about the era that the agency. Anyways, whatever.
Good stuff. Great audio. This is great.
This is terrible talk. Okay. Well, checking timer. We are at the hour mark. I think that might be what one refers to as
Thank God.
a podcast.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, Kevin.
Thank you.
Carry us out.
Thank you, Blake. Please cut all this out. All right, we're done
I
here.
can only amplify it.
Okay.
Outro S.
Boo for 96.
Boo for 96. Contact us at.
Oh God, that's what you're asking for.
This is the only thing you
No
have
one's
to do.
gonna email us. No one's gonna email us. Well, let's tell them to go to our Instagram at boo496 at Instagram.
I haven't updated in a while.
Yep, we're gonna.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening. Goodbye.
And to all my captors.
Oh my god.
Fuck off.
Yeah. Take him back, please. Keep the $35. All right. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.